Called it, our must-plays transitioned well into live. There's a lot of interesting and viable comps at the beginning of every set, and Festival of Beasts is no exception. There are a few though that will rise through the ranks and bring much more consistent results to the avid LP go-getter. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another ProGuides TFT video. Today we're going to be talking about the best comps so far in 11.2. Two of them are the same as before, but we did have more experience playing them now, so there's more that can be said behind them. The other is an old friend coming back to jump the enemy team and assassinate them. As always, we will include our few honorable mentions since it's not every time you get to play what's absolutely the best. As with every top comps list, getting the top comp will not guarantee you first place, but it will give you a high enough chance to finish top 4, netting you that sweet LP, and a steady climb at the beginning of a set, which is always preferable since the soft reset will not be too hard to come back from. We'll be talking about each comp, a general playstyle guide, look at the items and their usage and their positioning. Remember, proper positioning and items, as well as scouting, is your most important tools in the game, working together with your comp in order to give you that shiny first place. For our question of the day, how much have you climbed and are you enjoying this patch so far? Let us know in the comments down below. Now without further ado, let's go ahead and check out our first comp, and it's KAYLE. Our Divine Queen remains at the top spot, mainly because of the flexibility of frontline that she now has. KAYLE has turned out to be more flexible than she was in set 3, where you could only play one comp outline with her, getting more flexibility only by getting a Force of Nature or trade spatulas. Now she has her choice of frontline, be it Vanguards or Adepts. We prefer Adepts, but Vanguards are absolutely viable, especially with Ornn being in the picture. Now, focusing on the early game first, you should aim for a bow and starting carousel in general this set. Many comps use rapid fire cannon well as Hurricane or even a Ginsu's or a Duelist Spatula, so it's a really solid starting item. Then, if you manage to get another bow from early PvE, you can slam the RFC and move towards a potential KAYLE comp. Great users for RFC include Kindred, Zed, Akali, or even Darius if you get some AP on him as well. Pick a chosen that helps you out with your comp and start the usual leveling pattern. Remember, Lucky Lanterns can accelerate the leveling tempo. If you are on win streaks, it's not unusual to have level 7 with 40 plus gold on 3.5 instead of 4.1, or 2.8 on 4.3 to 4.5 instead of 5.1 due to the inflation. If you play some fortune, even better. Rolling down to 30 on 7 is advised for both an early lucky 4 cost as well as for a better chosen if you have a terrible one. It's not too bad if you're bleeding HP, consider rolling a bit to 40 on level 6 as well. Executioner chosens are especially good to hit, regardless of which one you get. Obviously, KAYLE is still the best in this comp, but you still want to keep a Kindred chosen for the Chase Executioner synergy anytime. You can't risk selling it and losing that crit chance. Having found KAYLE, you transfer items to her, and if you're not level 8, get to level 8 and complete the comp. Depending on what you find, you have the option of either playing Vanguard frontline or going towards Adept. In our opinion, Adept is stronger, but if you find an Ornn or are healthy enough to use them, Vanguards are equally strong due to their power of his artifacts. Level 9 is not terrible with KAYLE, since there are a lot of bronze traits that you can get, like Enlightened, Keeper, and so on. The usual KAYLE positioning in the corner works well if you have Quicksilver. You can mirror that KAYLE, Sivir, and Kindred on the other side if you want to protect them from assassins. If you don't have Quicksilver, different positionings will be required since Aatrox is everywhere, and Ornn Blitzcrank artifact exists as well. Put KAYLE a hex above or to the left and you'll be safe. Side goes to the old cast spot to get as many people in her spell as possible. Adept and Vanguard positioning is pretty much the same, and you can use Lee Sin as your divine option down the line instead of Irelia, especially if you have a Duelist Spatula on KAYLE. KAYLE wants a defensive option, Quicksilver or Guardian Angel and an RFC, which will help both in defensive and offensive options. Her last item can be one of 3, Hand of Justice, Ginsu's Rageblade, or Duelist Spatula. All 3 work really well. As you can see, there's a lot of choice here, with only RFC being the absolute core. Zeke's and Chalice are amazing on Sivir, and any tank items can go to the front line. Before we move on to our next comp, let's take a break and talk about our ever-growing ProGuides Discord community and subreddit. We want to give back to you, our amazing viewers and students who have supported us for so long. There's always some giveaway active, whether it's Riot Points, ProGuide Points, subscriptions, and so much more. You can find out more by heading to our Discord server and checking out the giveaways channel. Follow the links in the description to find us. Give us your answer to the question of the day in the comments down below, and if you want more videos like this, click that bell and get notified when our next video is up. So make sure to visit ProGuides.com. OLAF is another one that we called, a really strong comp that did not disappoint in live. This comp is way more flexible in how you get there, and it can have some changes and still be very successful. Similar to KAYLE, OLAF also uses RFC, but GA is the alternative, whereas KAYLE can use both. For OLAF, it's one or the other, as they are his defensive options, with both being good. So you can start with bow again or a sword. In the early game, Zed, a chosen Tristana with a good frontline and sharpshooter, Akali, or even Diana, chosen or not, can be really good item carriers for OLAF. Use them to carry you to level 7, where you hopefully switch a couple of chosen and found OLAF. He is such a big swing that you can lose streak to that point and give him to the 3rd stage in Carousel. Whatever item he has on him, if you have the right other 2 items, he is usable, and you can switch around later. Now there's a couple of paths with this comp. You can either go Mystics or towards Dragon Soul. It always depends on your final chosen, especially if it's Olaf. Mystic is the all-around safer version. However, if you have a Dragon Soul Olaf, or if you find a Swain, Dragon Soul is not a bad plan at all. Make sure that you're not facing any mages though. You'll be switching out magic resistance for more damage on Olaf or Swain and a more robust frontline. This call is yours. As an aside, the comp uses Ornn really well, since many artifacts are good on Samira or Swain. If you see him, replace Aatrox or Sejuani with him. You should be level 8 at this point, but if you find yourself having the gold, level 9 is an absolute win con with this comp. As you can use mini legendaries as well. We changed our positioning from last time, since we like GA a little bit more than RFC due to all the one-shots. Olaf is in the front line with his vanguards next to him for some juicy spells, both stunning and bringing in new targets towards him. If we go the Dragon Soul path, you can always put Swain where Olaf is, to take the blessing first and absorb the initial damage. Then move Olaf a bit to the right and 1 hex back, so that he comes right after the front line has his aggro. Olaf's most core item is Ruin's Hurricane to apply all that juicy on-hit effect from Slayer and his spell, healing, and so on. Deathblade, Last Whisper, and Affinity Edge are next as his damage options, and then defensive option is either RFC or GA. Other items can be distributed accordingly, depending on the path that you choose to take with this comp. Itemizing Samira is a good option if you have the attack items, and Swain with tank items if need be. Putting a Ziggs on Sivir is never a bad thing either. Now, mastering this comp is extremely hard, but our coaches at ProGuides.com can teach you exactly how to play it like a challenger, so check the link out below. Talon is seeing some love. In line, we're a bit under the radar due to all the fancy new units, and having them change nothing in the comp outside of Morgana being a little bit better now, and Nasus joining the party. So, let's take a look at how we play it then. Enlightened is really ineffective early on, so there's no need to focus over much on getting the units early. The only one that you need to have on your bench and play is Janna or Nasus. Play any chosen you like, focusing on physical damage dealing ones unless you have Hand of Justice and or Guardian's Angel, and then your possible item carries increases to pretty much anyone. This is actually one of the strengths of the comp, the fact that Talon uses 2 really generic items. Another good early slam is Morello, since it still makes Morgana into a ridiculous unit and has good applications on early units like TF, Brand, Kennen, Nico, and so on. You are mainly looking for Morgana and Talon, with the usual adepts to finish off this comp. Pyke is there as well, of course, as another one that you should be keeping early since he works really well with Cultist or Slayer openers. The comp only needs 1 legendary, and that's Yone, so level 9 is not often needed to win. There's also not much to add synergy wise on level 9, but it depends on your chosen trait. You could for example go for 6 Enlightened or 4 Assassins, if you have a chosen Talon, or 4 Siphoner with Morgana. This is how you should place your team generally. There are options, however, besides the obvious Talon being put where you can just find the juicy first target. Morgana can actually be placed in the front line if she's fully itemized, as she heals a ridiculous amount and can often get 2 or 3 spells while tanking. Try to face Yone's spell towards Talon where he will be jumping right after he kills his first target. This might seem really galaxy brain, but Talon targets lowest armor, and that's not too hard to pinpoint. If Yone lowers even more, that might be one shot into another jump. Talon uses the same stuff as usual: Infinity Edge, Hand of Justice, and Guardian Angel. Good alternatives are Bloodthirster and Last Whisper. Morgana needs a Morello's badly, and then she can work well with Ludens since she can proc its effect or other AP items. Other items should go on Yone or maybe Shen. That's gonna be it for the best comps in 11.2. Let's look at some honorable mentions. Zed has 2 comps that are super viable, and he doesn't need to be chosen. Though it's much easier if he is, pair him with some Slayers and Ninjas and Spirits and he can take off. Another comp where RFC is good. Aurelion Sol works in various comps, with 5 or 7 mages still being a formidable force. Fable, Chosen, Vanguard, Mystics are a tough one to pull off, since you need a specific Chosen in Nico, but it's really strong once you get it. Make sure you itemize Nautilus and 3-star Nico. There's even more comps that might be worth honorably mentioning, but we have to wait a bit for the theory crafting to die down before we commit. There's so many things going on right now, so go ahead and keep updated by subscribing to our channel. My name is Nathan Ng, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.